Hello, hello, possums. Yes, it is I, the conspicuous Moo. And welcome to some footage of Classic PTR 1.14.0. So yes, this is actually beyond the original version of Classic, which only went to 1.13. Ostensibly, the official spiel is that, you know, they're doing some server and infrastructure upgrades and stuff, but I think we all really know that it's not going to be for the people who are still playing Classic, all 11 of them. It's probably going to be for whatever Classic Fresh is going to be, whether it's going to be new content or, you know, all of the other switches and changes, because they would have to make a few adjustments, say, if they were going to double XP. Though they did request that, you know, a report and a debug, so I'm happy to say that in Dumero as a level 4 prot warrior, yeah, everything seems to be fine. No bugs there. You're welcome. But of course the vast majority of the Blizzard news at the moment concerns patch 9.1.5, the great apology patch as it would appear to be. Now first of all, I do have to put an apology out to all the Void Elves among you, because I was talking about Lightforged Draenei and Nightborn having their new customizations, but you're getting some as well. You're getting new hair colours, I think there's some ear lengths as well, and the ability to turn off those stupid glowing tentacle things at the front, which, you know, was never ever a good look for Void Elves, so you know, just switch it off and forget. Apparently weather effects are going to be coming in Stormwind and Orgrimmar, as you might have noticed. It's always sunny in Stormwind. I don't know about Orgrimmar, they don't seem to like me there for some reason, but you know, so that, you know, that's relatively welcome. It's not a major thing, but it's just immersion, you know. And there will be more hunted pets to tame as well, and I think there's more Soulshapes coming, and Crittershapes, which are, well, obviously critters, Soulshapes. But you'll be able to use them only in rested areas. You won't be able to run around, you know, virtually untargetable on a PvP, you know, because you're tiny. No, that's not going to work. You just need to be a gnome like everybody else. Some of the starter armor has been upgraded, so, you know, it's just a higher quality ones than the ones that you originally started with for most of the base classes, so okay. Legion Time Walking, now this is very interesting. This is going to come up in the first couple of weeks after 9.1.5 launches. It's going to have a selection of dungeons that you can go through, and it also has the option to be Mythic Plus, so, you know, if you're into Mythic Plus and you enjoy that sort of thing, you'll be able to do Mythic Plus Legion Time Walking, which would be very interesting. There will be a new currency as well, and that will be for actually, you know, buying Mythic Plus keys with their own actual affixes. It's all very interesting. It's a different approach, and I kind of like it. And there will be a new Legion Time Walking mount, which is going to be a purple hippogriff, I believe. Now this next one is something that has been requested by the player base for quite a long time, so it's finally coming. The Runecarver is going to give you the option to destroy whatever legendaries you don't really need and have the entire cost of the Soul Ash or Soul Cinders that it cost refunded back to you in full. Excellent! Less Torghast runs has got to be a good thing. They have removed the /spit emote entirely. So yes, I'm sure that will fix absolutely all of the bad behaviour on all of the World of Warcraft servers. Smashed it out of the park there, Blizzard. The skeptic in me says that this is just to, you know, stop Asmongold and his followers going /spit on people who buy mounts from the mount store. Because, you know, it doesn't really make any difference. And on RP servers it would work, and on PvP servers you do spit on the corpse of your enemy because you don't like them very much. Another thing about /spit is that you could just /e, your name, spits on the corpse of that name. You could make a macro in 1 minute that can get around your /spit removal. Anyway, now the really, really big one for me in all of these announcements recently is that the AoE target cap is being substantially removed. Now, what is the AoE target cap? Now, I did a video about this about a year ago. It was in late September of last year. Because Blizzard were bringing in this thing where they were a bit worried that people are having far too much fun pulling lots of mobs in Mythic Plus and then burning them all down with area of effect abilities. So they decided to institute some soft caps. So, you know, you would do, if you had an ability that would hit 5, but then would do reduced damage to more than 5. And they had hard target ones as well, where, you know, if, for example, you hit Rushing Jadewind as a Brewmaster or as a Windwalker, it would only hit 6 targets. And anything after that, it wouldn't do any damage to them whatsoever. So you can imagine how annoying that is for, you know, certain classes, because this wasn't universal. This was, you know, certain classes would get them and other classes wouldn't. And The meta, of course, would naturally shift to those people who could still pull as many things and damage as many things as they wanted to. So it wasn't a very popular decision in the first place, and it was widely criticised at the time. And people, there's one guy on Twitter who has, I think, for the last 161 days, asked for the AoE target cap to be removed. And, hallelujah, it's been announced. So they are going to remove it in 9.1.5. So that is a very, very good thing. These kind of arbitrary caps just lessen the enjoyment of the player base in general. If you're having that much of an issue with people doing that sort of thing, then design your encounters and your mobs better. With all of these reversions, and they are across a lot of classes, this will probably throw the Mythic Plus meta through another loop. So get ready with your boost money if you want to spend it, because the chances are that there's going to be a whole new set of classes and a whole new set of meta to be following if you're into that sort of thing. So, the vast majority of these decisions are great, and it's obvious that the development team are putting an awful lot of work into these as well. Mikey Barra, who's one of the co-leaders of Blizzard Entertainment now, and Ian Hazzikostas have been on the airwaves, trying to explain the decision process that's been going through. So, Mike, for his part, I like Mike. I like Mike, even though I don't play the game. I respect the fact that, he is a regular tweeter. He engages with the player base. He even streams some of the WoW content that he does, He's interested in other games. He is the gamer's leader. He really is. So he definitely comes across a lot better than previous iterations did. I would like to know where Jen O'Neill is. Was Mike just like, look, I'll take Twitter, okay? You go and do all this other stuff. You don't need to deal with these guys. Don't worry, I've got this. So I'm sure that she's working just as hard. I'd be interested to know what she's doing as well. Our beloved game designer Ian Hazzikostas has put out a couple of reasons as to why they're making all of these changes now, particularly the Covenant restriction ones, which said it's more of a story-based change. And the distinctions between the Covenants don't matter so much anymore because we're all one team. But we're always all one team, so that's a very, very silly excuse. I mean, let's be honest here. Blizzard are panicking because allegedly it's down to 40% of the initial player base now, and 60% of the players have left because you took the design of Shadowlands and you shit the bed with it, and you thought initially at the start that everyone would just be content to keep lying in it, but it appears that there are other MMOs out there, and a lot of migration has occurred. This has happened before, where a system's been put in and it's a bit of a ball ache, and then it sort of gets removed in the last patch before the new expansion, because they want people to come back and they want catch-up mechanics, etc. It coming at, after the first major patch is like a little bit on the early side, and they're obviously panicking, but it is for the players' benefit, so that's fine. The speed at which this is being done, like all of the little frustrations and niggles and restrictions upon your ability to play the game just being wiped out. They're obviously trying to get a lot of players back. Will it work? Probably not. There's a lot of damage has already been done, but for those people still playing Warcraft, I'm sure that they are very, very pleased with what's going on right now. We are, however, possibly entering a tipping point. The tipping point being that a lot of the changes that have been made have been wanted by, have gained a lot of traction on the player base in general. AoE, caps. The soul conduit energy thing. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So they've all been reverted. We're now sort of getting into the territory of specific requests from players that don't have as much traction, because it is important not to ignore your player base, but it's also important to realize that your player base comes up with some truly dreadful decisions and ideas as well. In fact, the vast majority of them are downright terrible ideas and lack any objectivity whatsoever. So I think we're sort of getting to the point now where we need to start tapping the brakes in terms of major changes and listen to the player base, because we're starting to get to the scraps, and a lot of the ideas I've been seeing on Twitter for changes would just be disastrous for game balance in general. And there's a lot of suggestions going out at the moment because the floodgates have been opened, and all of a sudden Blizzard are listening, so people are coming up with the worst ideas they can imagine and see if they can get them into the game. So, there is a danger that, if you take too many of these suggestions, and some of them turn out to be incredibly bad and not properly vetted, that you're going to incorporate them in, and it's going to have the opposite effect to what you're trying to do, which is to bring back other players, because rogues now can only equip staves or something. But it's not all lollifells and hugs at Activision Blizzard. If you're an employee, you're probably not so impressed. Despite the fact that you're obviously working incredibly hard at the moment, implementing and making all of these changes and the new designs, the ABK movement, a better Activision Blizzard King, which is the three main companies of Activision Blizzard, they've posted on September the 3rd that, the management are basically not coming to the table when it comes to the demands that they laid out in the wake of their strike in late July, in the aftermath of all of these allegations coming out. But, they're not unreasonable requests by any means, like an end to, current and future contracts having arbitration clauses in them that basically remove the court system from the entire equation. So, you can't go to court if you think you're getting a raw deal. You have to go through in-house arbitration instead, which almost always favours the employer. So, they're not interested in changing that, There was a request for new policies for, the hiring, recruiting and interviewing of people, and also, the promotion. They want to change the entire policy system to, reflect the diversity of the workplace and the fact that, some people aren't men. So that's more of an effort to, just to eliminate discrimination across the board in the workforce. Not interested in that? Okay. Then there is, a request for more transparency regarding remuneration for employees across the board to eliminate discrepancies in pay and promotion that currently exist at the moment. Because the final one is partially underway, but not in the way the workers would want it. It's basically to hire a third party from outside Activision Blizzard King to audit the human resources department, upper management, and the policies and processes, particularly in regards to complaining and how to handle, abuse cases, in order to reform the departments involved and make them better equipped to deal with those situations. So, at the end of the day, it sounds like the workforce are not unreasonably asking for a fair and non-discriminatory workplace with the ability to resort to court action if they don't feel that they're getting the deal that they want. That does seem pretty sensible, really, overall, but Activision Blizzard King are not interested in this sort of thing. And, this is not an isolated incident. This is occurring across the board in other gaming companies as well. So, someone's going to have to take the first step, and ABK don't seem all that interested. Now, obviously, the next obvious step is for them to unionize, but that could prove to be difficult because there has been a third party that is doing an audit, but they are also a legal firm that specialise in breaking up those pesky unions who ask for, worker rights and entitlements, that sort of thing. So that's not particularly encouraging to the workforce at large, but we'll see how that struggle goes. Anyway, given the continuing disinterest in the well-being of their employees, it does make it very easy for me to not give them any money whatsoever until they change their approach and things get better. Now, if HR at Blizzard Entertainment are interested in any additional work, then they might want to look at some of their employees' Twitter accounts. There is still quite a generous amount of hate being directed towards players who are asking questions about, why is the game falling to pieces? One account in particular, which has now unsurprisingly been set to private, went to war with players with the outstanding argument that if you're not subscribed to the game currently, then your opinion does not matter in any way. Now, I would counter with the fact that, a lot of former players of Blizzard games were subscribed, and their concerns weren't listened to in any case. Secondly, I think talking to the unsubbed masses might help give you an idea as to why these players left in the first place and, could work towards actually getting them back. And thirdly, putting the caveat, my opinions are my own, in your little title doesn't exempt you from behaving inappropriately towards the player base of the company that you work for. Surely these anti-player base idiots have some sort of contract that binds them to behave appropriately on social media. So, HR, if you are interested, please, by all means, have a browse through Twitter and turn these people off, because at the moment it's really not a good look for a company that has, let's face it, had a few PR challenges of late. And so is the end of the video. Well, it's been good in some respects. you know, all these 9.1.5 changes, wonderful. If you're still playing Warcraft, you're going to enjoy 9.1.5 substantially more than anything that has come before. On the other hand, this is still an utterly scummy company that is not interested in the long-term welfare of its employees, even when they are working very hard to churn out all of this new content for the players. So, yeah. I will be back soon with more news, but until then, I am the conspicuous Moo, and to employer-favoured arbitration with you.